My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Samas, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in. We are going to be doing a show on the Roland Garros qualifying draws, which just came out this morning. And I am lucky to be joined by the expert himself, Damien. How are you today?
Yeah, good introduction for sure. Obviously, Grand Slam qualifying, it's one of the best weeks of the year for me. I've been incredibly busy today, but there's never enough time to talk about Grand Slam qualies. So let's do that. We're definitely going to focus on the men's a bit more since that's like both of ours, expertise, but we will also talk about some of the headline names for sure when it comes to the women's draw at the end of the stream.
Perfect. All right, so let's just get right into it. I mean, we're looking at it here on our screen at the top half of the draw, or at least the top section of the top half. And, the number one seed here is Borna Coric, who's, obviously coming in feeling great about himself. Obviously had multiple challenger titles over the last few months and definitely playing a lot on clay. But I think the big story here is, it's going to be a difficult run. You got Drew Gett right off the bat, who was just in the challenger final yesterday and came up short. But obviously, you also have, Hanfman there and, Blocks, who maybe isn't quite accustomed to the clay yet and maybe didn't get the best draws, thus far. But nonetheless, we have some names here, Damien. So I guess, do you think Coric is going to get out of this despite, some of the, tougher names being in here? Or do you see some trouble?
Yeah, gotta be a pretty big favorite. 4 challenger titles it was. I liked how you kind of like second guessed at that because it's like, is it really 4? Yeah, it is 4. And the last one was a 175 as well. He actually almost lost to Nacho Buse, which could be interesting if they meet each other in the third round. But yeah, he's already defeated Blocks as well this clay season in straight sets. I kind of think that George is like one of the main favorites of this qualifying draw. I don't think he's quite like at this stage like I know Seyboth Wild was a few years ago, where we were all thinking just, okay, he's going to qualify and he's going to win a few rounds. The problem might be winning a few rounds in the main draw, but in terms of qualifying, I have a lot of belief in Borna here. Yeah,
100%, and he's obviously, I think he could compete on the ATP tour right now. He has found the consistency at the challenger level, so here's an opportunity to have reintroduce himself to the tour. Is there any other names that you want to mention here, Damien?
Yeah, I mean, Buse I already mentioned he was up a set and a break on George in Aix-en-Provence. Definitely has to be mentioned here. I honestly still don't know, like, quite what it is exactly that makes him good, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously he was a fantastic junior and still a developing prospect, but yeah, I mean, maybe if Blocks in a couple of years has, more time on the clay, maybe he's going to be more of a threat. And you already said everything about Droguet, and that's Tunis final he just had.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Let's move on to the next little section. Let's see, do we have it on the screen? Perfect. All right. I think it's fitting. We move right into the second seed here, which is Shevchenko. And, it's just been, I guess, brutal for him on the ATP tour. But, trying to, get his way back in, grind his way back. It, like I said, hasn't been the best season. But here he gets a chance. I think a name here would be Draxel. That sticks out as well on the bottom part.
Draxel? at the
Maybe
French.
not on the clay, right?
I don't know. I think Misolic is a big favorite in that match, and actually Misolic might be my pick even. Shevchenko is just so wild. I don't know what to do with him. I mean, he still clearly has like really good level in him, but it's so random. So basically, I think Misolic with the recent form, I mean, such a good resurgence this year. Just won the challenger in Prague, then also decent run in Zagreb. Great match against Kopejans there. I really like his chances. And last year he qualified and won a match in the main draw, which last year he was like 17 and 23, I think, for the entire season. It was like a complete awful run for him. But at the French, he was still good. And I think he's the favorite over Drax. Not the easiest round 2 for him, though. Trujelliti Neumayer, that's tougher than what Shevchenko will have to face in his second round if he beats Mochizuki.
Right. And what can you say about, I guess, McCabe on the surface? And
nothing. I mean, he literally played one match last week in Oeiras against Buruchaga. Before that, barely nothing. I think he was playing like maybe 2 or 3 previous seasons, but we don't know much really about how he's going to adapt. I saw that he was like a massive underdog against Erhard. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, he's not playing, like a Borna Choric, but qualifying here probably is impossible.
Yep. I don't think that's more to discuss. I mean, who do you have coming out in this section?
Misolic.
Okay. Beautiful. All right, we can move on. Beautiful. I think this is a great talking point, Damien, and you can kind of elaborate in terms of Basaveretti. He's gotten some, I guess, appearances at some of these clay court events, but he pushed Wawrinka. What was that, 2 or 3 weeks ago now? But just hasn't had like true success. Is this an opportunity for him to get going, I guess, at the tail end of the clay season? Just confidence building?
Yeah, it's a bit wild. I mean, for sure, he has some decent clay weapons. Like, obviously, he's drop shotting, every single game on hard courts anyway. But sometimes he actually tends to overuse it on clay. I mean, physically, of course, Nishas isn't the strongest. So I also wonder how this is going to like look for his, clay future. Just finishing points, also staying in points, like that's tough for him. So I don't know, but the draw is kind of okay. Like the first round maybe tougher than the second even. And I still think Ramos Vinolas and Buruchaga are probably more the names to look at here. Buruchaga back-to-back semis at Challengers just recently. I kind of went like Ramos Vinolas for the vibes because, it's his last Roland Garros. It's not the first player that it's not the last player that we're going to mention this with. It's his last Roland Garros. He is a little random right now as well because he's 37 and, sometimes things just don't click seemingly on the day. But yeah, I mean, I guess he can qualify probably. Buruchaga is like a guy I always underrate. And then he just surprises me. Maybe at some point I will just grow more accustomed to him like I did to like Coria. It's a similar style more or less. And now I respect Coria a lot. With Buruchaga, I'm still like, probably not going to make it because his game isn't all that much. But then he actually does it. And obviously he's fantastic in terms of like, grinding, stamina and stuff. So he is definitely the safe pick here, Buruchaga, I'd say. And Nishesh, a bit of a wild card.
Right. And I mean, Molinari is no gimme, even in the first round, obviously, a very natural clay court player. And then what about, I'm going to butcher this name, but Guillaume Meta, he's one of those guys who is just a grinder, and he'll play a marathon. Does he have a look here?
Yeah, I love him in like all these South American 50s, 75s. Haven't really watched him enough in like these sort of competitions. You'd guess that he probably isn't going to be like amazing against like quality players in an event like this. But then again, look at this draw. Third round is very achievable. So I really want to see how he does. I think he was even signed up for Zagreb, but he just couldn't come. Basically, he won a challenger in South America, and then the flight would have been like way too much. Yeah. So it's a shame he didn't get any like warm up in Europe where we would, well, both he and we would be able to like say a little bit more. But yeah, he's one of my favorite grinders for sure.
Right. Okay. And Constant, I don't really want to talk much about, so we'll leave that there.
Yeah, but, I mean, Lestienne has just recently played in Asia. No warm-ups on clay. Doesn't sound like he's going to make it here, but who knows? I mean, I think he was 2-love up on Khatanov like a year or two ago at Roland Garros.
Yeah.
Also, when nobody was giving him a chance. So
yeah. It's a mystery with him. So we shall see. But moving on, we have our 4 seed, Jason Zheng, and he's a player that Damien and I were going back and forth with. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago, where I do think he operates well on the surface. Obviously undersized, but puts a lot of spin and depth on his shot. Pretty decent serve for that size as well. But here he is in the 4 seed, playing Arnabaldi, who did have a good couple wins recently. Yeah.
between and Turin, yeah.
Right. So you got Michael Moe, who hasn't played a match maybe on the surface this year. I don't know if that's true.
He played on green clay, but not on red
Yeah.
clay. Yeah.
Right. And Emery, who I don't know where he's been. I know he was he was in that, might have been in an African final of some sorts back in the time.
Yeah.
But Martyrer, who I haven't been keeping track of much. I don't know.
Hasn't played since January, so
yeah. So nothing. Yeah, maybe Davis Cup he was playing.
Yeah, last time was Davis Cup actually against Ishay Oliela, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a bit wild for sure. I mean, Zheng might be that his toughest match is the opening round.
Right. Coria, does he have a shot on the Euro clay?
He was out for a month, and he also retired in last week against Droguet. So if he was fitter, I'd probably go Coria simply because Zheng has Arnaboldi in his opener. But because of that, I just went with Zheng. I do think he has a fine shot to qualify, but it really might be that his opening round is just the toughest he's going to have here.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's kind of the storyline. Can he pull it off and come through here? And I guess we'll see if Coria is fit enough. So yeah. All right. Moving on. Yeah, Momo on clay. Yeah. All right. It's Brandon Holt who's the 5 seed, and he's another one of those guys who I don't think has played on clay this season. But obviously,
it might be right. Yeah. I mean, he played in Houston, but we're not counting that.
Right. And but obviously, earned his ranking to get here. Has had a good season so far, and I guess James Ken Trotter. That's a difficult matchup. I don't know how Trotter is on clay though.
Yeah, the one-hander isn't really going to be that good. It's a weird match. I mean, Holt is probably the favorite, but also, he seems to have cooled down a bit.
Right.
It's a weird section overall. Like there's honestly nobody in better form here than Kubler.
Yep. Tell us more about how you think he will, adjust to the clay.
I mean, right-handed Rafa Nadal is what they were calling him in Australia. I always thought that's a little BS, but he recently won a 25K, was it, or 15K in China, indoor clay. Different conditions, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But also he has so much experience. Like, don't just look at him and think, Australia, so probably no experience on clay whatsoever. No. Jason Kubler, because of his knee issues, he used to play on clay only for a couple of years. So he actually has a ton of experience on this stuff. Morocanias seems like a little difficult in the opening round.
Right.
Again, maybe one of the toughest matches he might play here, but also not in great shape. So I'm just kind of looking at this whole thing and the player in form here is Jason Kubler. I know who the producer would pick, Benji Hassan. But that's not a bad pick at all. I mean, Bordeaux quarterfinals just a week ago. Just a few days ago. Kotov obviously, used to be so strong, but also pretty poor season. Yeah, I mean, I like Kubler as a kind of wild selection here, but it's maybe not even that wild.
Yeah. I guess the bottom match is obviously intriguing, and we'll see who kind of comes out from there. And then another tough one to pronounce, but Tim van Rijthoven, he's back. When was the last match he played?
Australian Open. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any confirmation of that, but it looks like he's kind of just getting through, the predicted ranking stuff, just picking up the paychecks. I mean, it doesn't seem like Team actually wants to come back, to be honest. Hopefully we're wrong because, of course, it's such a sad story. The ATP 250 title, yeah, then Hertogenbosch. That's probably from Wimbledon, actually, this photo, but that same grass season, right?
Yep.
If Wimbledon awarded points that year, he would have been in the top 100, like way inside the top 100. As of right now, he's one of 2 ATP Tour champions, I think, who never made it to the top 100. And, well, at this stage, probably never will. Just so many injuries over the course of his career. And it's not looking like he's at the end of that injury-stricken road.
Right. Yeah. Anything else from that section, Damien?
Yeah, not really. I think we already kind of mentioned all the top guys. It's definitely one of the more open ones. I wonder how strong actually Kubler is going to be, given that he also hasn't had a proper Europe clay warm up outdoors. But indeed, he does have a lot more experience on the surface. The form is great, so I like that as well for the vibes. But it might actually not be. It might be a serious pick in the end.
Right. Perfect. All right. Moving on to the next section. It's going to be Billy Harris, who's the top seed here in this section. And he's going to get Dan Evans. So, I mean, a good opener here. Any thoughts on this initial match?
Dan Evans is actually priced as the favorite, which I was surprised by. I do think Billy, despite having a pretty poor clay season in terms of like win-loss record, his level has been okay in most matches. He had this like breakdown for like 3 when he lost to Galan to 6-6. But still, I mean, he goes deep with like Ramos Vignolas, Goffin, guys like that. He beats Wawrinka last week. I actually think Billy is the favorite to qualify here. That style of Dan Evans right now, like when his physicality isn't at his strongest anymore, he's just kind of just like getting grinded down by everybody. He's just behind the baseline, just like slice botting. So I don't hate Billy's chances at all to actually even qualify here. He made the third round last year. It wouldn't like instantly get him into the top 100, but it would make him obviously come pretty close once more. And he has to do it very quickly before the grass now. I think the nerves have definitely been also a factor in why he's struggling so much this clay season. But despite a poor record in clay, yeah, I do like, especially the second round looks amazing for him if he beats Dan. And then Merigeni Alves has been injured. Kovalik, 4-10 this year, I think, despite last year, of course, beating Hachanov at Roland Garros. Right. So this actually looks very nice for Billy. I'm surprised that I'm picking him to qualify from a section because, again, the form isn't great, but it is what it is.
Right. I mean, yeah, not much else to mention. I feel like in this section, Lee 2, not a clay quarter. And as you said, Alves, I think he is not necessarily fit. So
yeah. Last week he retired at like 1-6 slough free or something like that, right. Which is a shame because otherwise he'd be a great pick here. He's been in really good form this year as well.
Perfect. Moving on to the next section. It's going to be, Fabio Fognini. Mm-hmm. Playing qualies. Is it his last time? I don't know. But he's got Moreno de Alboron to open. And that's not an easy opener. I feel like maybe if we're having this conversation last year, it'd be a lot harder. But Alboron's still, coming back, getting fit. I guess it's a match, but yeah, Fognini should come through, I guess, that one. But then the following match would be even more interesting with Lucas Klein. You talk a little bit about, how he is on the clay and, obviously he's kind of a qualifying merchant. He's always in the conversation.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, pretty horrible year for him so far, but the last event was decent in Prague when he lost to Misolic, and then also lost to Misolic the round later. Yeah, I mean, Klein is very fine on clay, of course, grew up on it pretty much, even though he has such an aggressive game. Time on the ball is not a bad thing for him, especially not on the forehand. If he can just get his stuff together, yeah, I don't hate this draw for him at all. I mean, the round one match between Denoden and Klein is already very strong. Then you have Moreno Dalboran, who, as you said, is coming back, but has already had some decent performances. Mm-hmm. You throw in Garin in the mix, and it's just crazy. Garin's on a 10-match win streak. A lot of people have already taken offense with me not picking Christian Garin to qualify. I don't know. I just feel like he's going to crack physically at some point, or there's going to be... Maybe it's PTSD from last year because I picked him to qualify last year and he lost to Hugo Blanchet in the opening round.
Well,
Harold Maillot, Hugo Blanchet, maybe. Hugo Blanchet is even in this draw. I
was
mean,
gonna say you could get that again.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling that the fairy tale isn't going to continue for Garin. But obviously, if somebody is just thinking, yeah, he's gonna keep going, then I can't say no to that as well.
Yep. And Chris Rodash, obviously, slowly making his way up the rankings, and had a good recent stretch. So, yeah, we shall see. I think Klein is a good pick here. Definitely want Fognini to go as far as he can, as this might be it for him. But ready to move on, and it's going to be the 8 seed Marin Cilic, as Damien is very happy about this
and
matchup.
Who is he playing? I mean, this is the best match. This is the best match of the qualifying. This is the best match of the year.
Go for it, Damien. Tell us why.
I mean, Marin Cilic, the last time he played Roland Garros, I think he made the semis, and he's such a legend, obviously. Yibing Wu, anytime he plays, like regardless of, he might just drop out of the tour for like 6 months. He comes back and he's insane. He's just, to watch, that's probably the best player out there. I don't know if any, honestly, in terms of like entertainment value, aesthetics, you're going to find anybody else. So Cilic Wu is insane. And when you're looking at this draw as well, it's very possible that the winner of that will make the main draw, which I think would be a very good outcome for anybody involved, really. Other than Martin Tifon, Kouame, Harris, Hüsler, Escoffier, Virtanen, and the loser of that match.
Right. I mean, I guess Otto also kind of one of those guys who, if he isn't qualifying straight up, he's finding a way to get in to the main draw.
Yeah, by saving like 8 match points. Yeah,
right.
That's usually what he does. Yeah,
exactly. It's always needed. But yeah, I mean, straight popcorn here. It should be a great one. And yeah, Damien is whoever wins that match does have the best chance to qualify for the main draw. Beautiful. Moving on. How are we doing on time? We're good.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it short and energetic, but I think we're doing perfectly okay on the time.
Yeah.
Just double this for the rest of the men's draw, and then whatever we have, we're gonna use on the women's.
Yeah, we did make it to the bottom half. So it's gonna be Chris Eubanks, who, let's see, he was just in, where was he? Oras? Yeah.
Oras, yeah.
And he lost. I forget who he lost to, but.
I know who he beat in the opening round. It was Pedro Araujo, but I actually don't remember who he lost to. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, obviously he didn't do that great.
Yeah, and he's got Rodionov, who, I mean, lefty. Definitely a tough matchup. What has he been up to, Damien? Why have I not get to?
Actually, his career has like fallen apart over the last 13, 14 months or so. I mean, he was joining the top 100 for good finally, and then like, I don't know, just has a 12, 13 match losing streak around this time last year, I think, for seemingly no reason. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, I think he lost like a Thriller and Rome qualities to De Jong, maybe.
And that was part of it, yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, Eubanks, I guess he's, just trying to survive out here, trying to keep it going. But another American, or there's 2 other Americans in this little section, but Mitchell Kruger. Also had a great run in Oras. Made it to the final. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yep. Newfound clay court specialist, but when you actually watched him there, he hits a very heavy, very consistent ball. It kind of made sense. I was like, why isn't Mitch doing better on clay courts in the first place? Like, why can't he be the next Bien Fratangelo? And I actually picked him to qualify. I mean, honestly, I think this section is probably the most open. So, like, there's literally no name here where if you tell me that this guy is going to qualify, I'm going to be like, nah. I mean, maybe Taro Daniel just because his form is so awful, but it's still Taro Daniel. I mean, I'm assuming that he can just, like, wake up at some point. So, yeah, basically do anything here, like, in terms of picking, but I just went with Mitch because Oerash seemed real.
Yep. No, that's fair. I mean, form is important here because, I mean, I guess it's maybe more of a conversation, but what about Sumit Nagal? What's I guess been his problem?
Just coming back since after
Yeah.
an injury,
Okay.
hasn't looked fit yet. But obviously, it's he's a quality clay courter. I can't deny that. So
Right.
maybe he beats Mitch. I mean, I really don't know. It's super open. I think all 8 names are in the mix.
Right. Yeah, and Jaquette down there, who had a great run. Where was it? The Asian hard courts?
Yeah, India. He won a
India.
couple
Yeah,
of
India.
matches.
That's what it was. Yep, that was still a while ago. But obviously, another contender here. So
someone who might be thinking, why didn't I get a main draw wildcard? I don't know if it actually sort of like comes into your motivation maybe a little bit. Because if he's going to be watching Pierre Gerber lose to Carousel in Geneva qualifying and then to whoever in Roland Garros main draw, then he might be feeling like it should have been me.
That's fair. That's fair, and that's a good point. Extra motivation. Awesome. All right, we will move on. Oh, this is great. This is a great section. It's Elmer Moller. I think the last time he played was Madrid.
Ostrava.
Okay,
so one match after Madrid, but I can't blame you for forgetting that because Aslan Karatsev just like ate him alive. It was crushing performance.
But he is he's the top seed in this little section. The other one being Jerome Kim. I feel like there's been a lot of talk about him, in terms of his ability to like ball strike and I guess his potential, having like a bigger ceiling than most. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty crowded. He's got Facundo Bagnis, who this might be his first match in quite a while.
No, I mean, he came back for a moment in South America, but he had a retirement in an ITF, and then he had a retirement 2 points away, not from defeat, but from victory in South America as well to Colarini. Wow. His leg just like completely, gave in. And because of that, Elmer is the favorite. But he also pulled out of Oeiras last week, so I have no idea about the fitness of Elmer either. I still went with him, though, because I wanted to avoid that Gigante Kim bloodbath. Like, that's just...
Right.
That's another one of these best matches of the round. It's not quite Cilic Wu, but it's up there. And if we get Miller Kopejans in the second round, that's actually pretty tough as well. I think they played already this clay season and Elmer won, but honestly, Kimmer's level, I think, recently has been really strong. It's just like he's losing all tight matches, basically. But that's the only thing holding him back. So I went with Miller. He's amazing. But again, I don't know why he pulled out of Oeiras last week. It was kind of last minute. And it was surprising because he won the previous Oeiras event, so clearly enjoyed the conditions and the venue. But yeah, Gigante came round 1 as well. Like, one of these guys can easily make the main draw as well.
Right. I mean, Gigante obviously having a good run in Rome, and then I think he lost early to Bublik in Turin. So, obviously someone who's found success in qualifying draws. Moving on. We have top seed here in this section is Ethan Quinn, who, for me, it's been a big surprise, to see him kind of, I wouldn't say excel, but just having, loads of success on European clay so far this year. He gets Marc Leal, who obviously it's not an easy matchup. And I mean, I guess Coleman Wong Tomic is a lot of fun in terms of, I guess, the names and
yeah. Personally, I'm not watching that, but I understand that a lot of people will. The Prince of Clay, the King of the Dirt, is back at his favorite surface, at his favorite venue. Bernard Tomic is going to dominate. Yeah, I mean, Ethan has been very good this clay season. I kind of couldn't go against him, to be honest.
Right. It's hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he can beat Coleman. I honestly think Coleman is one of the best draws in the event. Just Queen. Queen against Tomic sounds like a 6-2, 6-2.
Yeah.
And it's not in Bernie's favor.
Okay. Any other names here? Austin Holmgren, Tarante. I mean, this is an opportunity.
Can always do it, but he's also pretty random and so inconsistent. He's already qualified for the French before, I think. Holmgren, if I trust him a bit more, maybe. But Casson has also played just one clay match, I think, and lost to Kumstad in Ostrava or Prague. So yeah, it doesn't seem that good. Honestly, Queen Layal might be the match that decides the winner, but I'm a little unsold on Layal. I mean, his game is just like so reliant on taking the ball early, get to the net, tougher to do on clay. So, but if he beats Queen, I suppose he could have a run here. But yeah, Queen seems like just the strongest name around.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Looking forward to that match. So we'll keep moving. I think we're moving along fairly well. Okay, so this section is topped off by Juanma Cerundolo, and at the bottom it's Galan. I mean, you're looking kind of up and down the list. You got a few kind of natural clay quarters that have opportunities. You got Hadi Habib, who did a good job on the hard courts. I'm not sure how successful he is on the clay. What's sticking out to you in this section, Damien?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I was kind of ignoring the comments because we had because we had to kind of like run with it. But two things that I wanted to touch on. So first of all, Ashton Kruger and Mitchell Kruger are not related, even though they're both from Texas, which is kind of shocking. I remember just being very surprised by that. But there was also where's Karatsev in the draw? So he pulled out a couple of days ago. That's basically it that I wanted to touch on. And in terms of this one, I'm kind of just like looking at the seeds and thinking who has a better draw. And I think it's significantly Galan. I mean, you've got Jessica in the opening round, which should be a free win on clay. And Cerundolo has Habib in his second round, which sounds very tough. So I think Galan just has a better draw than Juanma. But if they do get to play in the third round, who knows? There was a beautiful Varias Jari a couple of years ago at the French. I hope it would be just as good. I don't think it would, but it was a final round as well. I don't think it would be just as good, but maybe you can get a showdown like this. But no, I think Cerundolo can definitely lose to like Onclen, Habib. Galan, it's a little tougher. It's not that he's like in insane form, Galan, but just the section looks very nice for him, I think.
Right. What about Popko? Anything on him?
I mean, Dmitry Popko, I could write a book on him. I don't know if it would get me like sued or fired from some places. But, I mean, let's just say the guy is as random as they come. The reasoning for that, it could be many different things. But, I do appreciate his game for sure. But I can never really like honestly just sit down and pick him to do stuff. No. I mean, I've seen too many matches where he's, for one reason or another, just, not at the level that I know he can play it.
Right. Beautiful. All right, we will keep moving on. The next one. Yeah, it's Barrios Vera. Okay, beautiful. This is I mean, Skatov's there, Van Esche, who just retired, actually. But what was the reason for retirement, Damien?
Leg, I think, left maybe, but at 2-5, up until 2-5, he was like moving relatively okay, but after the MTO, it was clear that he was cooked. Maybe that's why he retired as well. Maybe he was trying to, remain in the Roland Garros qualifying draw, basically.
Yeah.
But if he was fit, I think I would have gone him, but I went Skatov. It's kind of like the same player, pretty much.
Yeah.
Skatov, I guess, has a bigger forehand, but the same kind of like clay grinding, relentless consistency. Skatov hasn't really done anything this clay swing, but that's maybe a little like harsh for him. I think his level is okay, just hasn't worked out. Barrios Vera, though, is probably the guy like the most informed player here, right? I'm just. Again, that's someone who plays such aggressive, flat-hitting tennis that I think he can lose to like anybody. But also, if we were just like to throw these 8 guys into the main draw, I think Barrios Vera is 100% the guy who would win the most matches against better opponents. I just don't know if it actually translates to him qualifying from this one. But certainly he's in the mix along with Skatov, and we'll see about Van Asch. Manarino, no, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Anything on Rocha?
just pretty poor form this year, but I think he can be much better than this. He defeated Fucsovics in Australia, for example. So, like, he's no stranger to Grand Slam qualifying upsets. I've said it many times, but I don't think Rocha and Faria, like, they're really not that different in terms of their level to me. So the fact that Jaime is ranked so much higher, I think it's a little bit exaggerated. So yeah, I mean, I respect his game for sure. Just had a big losing streak recently, so I'm not sure how he's gonna play here. But Barrios Vera Rocha, I think it would be a very difficult match for Thomas, actually.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, we will keep moving on. And it's a big name in this section, despite being the 14 seed here. It's Seyboth Wild, and he gets Uchiyama, who obviously isn't an amazing clay courter, good ball striker. I mean, you got Bastiaveli here, who had a great run, and lost to Pericard in the final today. And what else we got? Gilles Brouwer making a return. Vachereau. Yeah, I mean, there's some names here, some opportunities. Who did you select coming out of this section?
Yeah, you might call me like a hypocrite or something like that now, because I actually went for. Oh, and by the way, Yogi, yes, Popko is a Russian-born Kazakh. Anyway, yeah, I actually went with Seyboth Wild. So all the reasoning that I just gave for not picking Barrios Vera, yeah, it kind of, I threw it out of the window here, but for a good reason. I mean, I just don't want to get into that Basilashvili Vachereau Taberner bloodbath. It's another one of these sections. Vachereau Taberner, I think it's a total 50-50. I'm actually surprised that the betting odds are supporting my claim that it might be Vachereau, but I'm super biased with Vachereau, so don't listen to me with the guy. And Basilashvili, Bordeaux, if he keeps up this form, 100%. But I think Quinn was talking about the guy a little bit earlier, and just saying that, like, he's the most unpredictable player ever, which honestly might be true. And that's why I also didn't go for him, because it just seems like a little too much, to beat Pecci Pericard, Nakashima. I mean, lose to Pecci Pericard in a tight match, but beat Freaksport, beat Nakashima, and then qualified for the French. I don't know, just doesn't sound like the Nicolas Basilashvili that I know and love. So that's why I decided to side with the Brazilian, who also has had, of course, a number of very weird and poor losses this year, but had a nice run in Rome. And we all know what he did 2 years ago at this very venue, defeating Daniel Medvedev, and just being the GOAT back then.
Right. Yeah, I think this gives him an opportunity to maybe bring back some of those memories, get himself back on track. And yeah, with Nico, we just don't really know. I mean, just more so, can he keep it up? He has it in him, but you don't know what you're gonna get. Yeah, I think we touched on everything there, and we got 2 more sections to go, I believe.
Yep.
So moving on. The top seed here in this section is Eliot Spizzarini, and he's getting Hugo Grenier. That'll be an interesting one. Obviously, Spizzarini not much of a clay court player, so a little bit more question marks. But you got Landa Luch here, the young Spanish player who, I mean, for me, Damien, what I've heard, he's got, maybe the most potential. What do you have to say about this section?
Yeah, I mean, I did side with Martin again. He qualified for Australia and then suddenly fell apart for like 3 months. And he seems to be getting it back, like also losing in some tight moments. There was this match with Barrios Vera in Mauthausen where he like goes, Federer like on break points. But after that, like, sure, recently the match point with Nori, and just had a semifinal in Prague as well. Seems like he's getting back on track, and I don't hate this draw at all. Fede Gomez is dangerous for sure. I mean, he's like, 5-14 this year, I think, and he picked up 5 wins in 2 events. So he lost 12 in the opening round, and he said a lot about like mental, issues that he's struggling with. I mean, he can just dominate this section, but yeah, what's the chance he will play 3 good matches? I don't know. And as you said, Spizziri just not really a clay courter. Not really a clay courter. Played a couple of matches, lost to Gaubas, like winning 3 games, and lost to somebody last week, winning 5 games, I think. So yeah, maybe Zapieri. He qualified for the French 2 years in a row, I think, actually. But yeah, also somebody who's like on the comeback trail. Choinski, I know that the producer won't like me saying that, but he's also very good in clay, obviously, even though his form this year has been pretty atrocious. So maybe the winner of Zapieri Choinski. I went Landaluce, but I mean, I don't have much confidence simply because in the last few months he also hasn't had much confidence. But seems decent. Like Murkel Derian, I think it's just a good draw. I'm sorry, Murkel, but in South America, yeah, go for it. But I don't know if in draws like this he can really be a big factor. So yeah, that's why I went with the young guy. But yeah, definitely a difficult, challenging time for him recently.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity to get back on track. All right, let's move into the final section here, which is topped off by Tristan Boyer. I mean, I feel like he's worth spending a few minutes on because he's one of those players that I think it was in the fall, like made the I guess decision to go play South American Challenger events on clay and really test himself and push himself. I think he hired an Argentine coach, if that's right, and that might have helped out with his decision to do that. But you got Villas Gabas here and Yamasuriz, Pereira, as we talked about, and I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Damien Virginia, yeah. So yeah, this is like a quietly competitive section. Obviously, I think Gavas has to be the favorite, but I guess tell us more. If you have any thoughts on Tristan Boyer, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, obviously some dangerous players here.
Yeah, I think Gaubas is clearly the player in form here out of the 8. I'd love to say Dukovic is a tough opening ground for him, but Duya is 0-7 on clay. He's definitely like talented and hot-headed enough to just like wake up at any time, so there is that danger always. But Gaubas just had a Rome run. Obviously he's been playing in Spain since he was like 15, and yeah, just such a clay rat, honestly, with a good topspin forehand. So yeah, I do think he's developing pretty nicely, and out of all these players, he's just the one who's fit and in the best form. Sverchina somehow lost his mojo the last 3 weeks. I don't know why, but for some reason his performances have just suddenly stopped being so impressive. And Tristan, yeah, in South America he pulled off 3 beautiful titles. I thought that was going to be like a top 100 campaign, but over the last few months he's trying very hard not to get into the top 100. Let's just say that. So Gaubas does look like the player in form. It's kind of like section 5 where we had 8 players and Kubler was like clearly the guy in form. Yep. And here's the same with Gaubas. We will see if this actually ends up with them taking the section or not.
Beautiful. I guess any last comments, I guess, about the men's draw overall before we talk about the women's briefly?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an exciting one as usual. There's a lot of like difficult sections in terms of picking a winner. With a friend of mine, usually we have like pretty much 10 or 12 same picks, and now we have 4, which I think is more about the draw rather than us. But also I think it's one where like I don't really see any guys who are going to just like rock the world in the main draw. I think it's one where maybe all the best players are already inside in a way. But we'll see. Maybe there's somebody unexpected. Doesn't seem like it's going to be the kind of draw where you have Seyboth Wild or you have that 2021 US Open where Van de Zandschulp, Gojowczyk, and Lloyd Harris, or maybe Oscar Otte. I don't remember who was a qualifier. But like either one of them, they just go so deep in the event. It doesn't seem like it will be one like that. But honestly, 2021 US Open probably didn't seem like that either. So yeah, I mean, as usual, it's going to be a lot of fun from yesterday and tomorrow. Yeah, you can see I'm pretty tired, and I'm just thinking about that time when I will already be done with all the work that I have for today, and then I'm just gonna start watching that in about 12 hours. So yeah, let's think about these beautiful days, and let's talk about some of the women's big stories.
Yeah, for sure.
Aiton Stern's not in the qualifying, Ghosty, but
beautiful. All right, let's take a brief look here. I think the biggest story is Bianca Andreescu in the qualifying draw. Let's get her matchup pulled up.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, by the way, but Cilic is playing his first Grand Slam qualifying draw since 2007 US Open. Obviously, it's not going to be that sort of a time for Bianca, but I would imagine that's also like her first qualifying since she won US Open at least, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's what I thought. I might be wrong on that, but well, previously she either had wildcards or was obviously ranked a little bit higher.
Beautiful. I guess the story is she coming out here in this section?
Doesn't seem like the most difficult one, right? I think Vegele is also back after a while. Udvardina, it was Galfi who was recently on such a big streak. Hibino, I know, such a veteran. But yeah, honestly, looking at this, I'm like, surely, 2020. Right. Well, I mean, after the Rome run, it's tough not to have some, new faith in Bianca. Of course, with her, the faith, it's always like, the game is still there. Like if she was healthy, she'd still be a top player, I think. So considering she just had that run, I definitely like her chances to qualify. Of course, my like knowledge about the women's qualifying and the players outside the top 100 isn't quite as broad, but for me, just it doesn't seem like there's much to talk about here, right? I mean, Andreescu is like kind of a Chorich of the women's draw here.
That's a good one. I'm kind of just going down the list here, looking for more of the bigger names. I would say.
And last qualifying for Bianca Andreescu, 2019 Australian Open. So yeah, at the beginning of the US Open winning season.
Yeah.
Last qualifying, of course, I mean at the slams. I wasn't checking any other events, but actually it's possible that it's also for any event, right? I mean, after she won the US Open, why would she play qualifying anywhere? So I'm pretty sure it's for any event actually.
Right. And our producer is bringing up the Sarah Arani match. Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
And Boko was there somewhere as well. I saw that's exciting.
It's Julie Niemeyer, a big ball striker. And actually in that section,
Contact wouldn't want to draw her in the opening.
I was gonna say.
Rani Niemeyer. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Definitely one of the best ones of the draw then.
Yeah.
Niemeyer did crush Maja Chwalinska in Australia, for example. Could we compare that style to Sarah? I mean, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, and what about Ao Ito, Damien? Have you heard anything about her?
Yeah, she's like very crafty, but it seems difficult. Marcinko, Neff, a lot of like the recently amazing juniors or sub-18 players. Efremova as well. I mean, I know it's like a wild card for the future, but just gotta watch that anyway. Yeah, this looks much more competitive. I really think Andreescu has it much easier, and this looks very competitive to me.
Right.
In case someone didn't guess, I mean, I'm basically looking at this draw for the first time. Sorry. So.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we got I guess as a talking point as well. I mean, Taylor Townsend is playing, and in her section is actually Daphne Mpeshi Pericard.
Oh.
Have you watched her play, Damien?
Maybe at the French a couple of years ago, but honestly, I don't remember much. I mean, she's definitely not like a giant 2-meter serveboat. And by the way, yes, she is a sister to Giovanni, in case anybody was wondering. Somebody was thinking about the Krugers in the US. I mean, there's Freddy Krueger as well, so there's a lot of Krugers. But Pechi Pericard, if that's the name, then probably, they have to be related, and indeed they are.
Yeah. And in a section lower than them is Victoria Mboko, who has kind of made waves so far in 2025 on the women's tour. And I feel like she has a golden opportunity to, keep that up. Only 18 years old. She's gotten some wild cards at some of the events. She's definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah, I like her chances here. I mean, Falinska maybe in the third round, but yeah, Mboko seems to have a very nice draw. She was just in the final, was it? Or semi of
Mboko? Yeah.
Yeah.
She just won.
I think she lose that?
She lost. She lost.
Yeah, she lost in the final of Parma.
Okay.
I'm forgetting to whom. Meyer Sheriff, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
who could have won a WTA 1-5 on clay? It's obviously
right.
But also, yeah, I mean, she had a run in Rome. Obviously, I don't think clay is going to be her best surface at all, but she looks like a phenomenal prospect for sure.
Yeah. And
that woman on our screens was, I believe, Tamara Zidanšek, and indeed she's here, situated close to Starodubtseva, which doesn't sound that good for her.
How tall is Daphne? They're asking Damien in Pesci Ferry card.
Yeah, I don't think she's like unreasonably tall, to be honest. I mean, she was also probably like 15 when I watched her, so would still grow.
Anyway, another story, I guess kind of maybe more of a personal story, but Solana Sierra, and I'm seeing kind of more of the names that I attended a 75K in late January, and Whitney Oswego, Carson Brandstein was there, Lauren Davis. So some of these girls I had a chance to watch up close, but Solana Sierra was the winner in that tournament, and that was on green clay. So not quite, but she's she's had a positive run after that, and since there loves the clay, very powerful Argentine. So I give her a good shot to keep going. Any other names that are sticking out to you, Damien?
Yeah, I was trying to Google Daphne and Metri Pericard's height, but there's nothing there. I mean, part of that might be because it's still like fluid, right? I mean, she can still
it's 16. I mean,
yeah, I think when I watched her, she must have been like 15. I don't think she was super tall though, which is a bit weird. But genetics, it works in different ways. Some of the Brits on Talking Tennis could be excited about a potential Harriet Dart Francesca Jones third round matchup. I could see that being reasonably interesting, let's say. Buzarnescu coming back. I kind of forgot she existed, but that was a beautiful rise she had late in her career a couple of years ago. Yeah, there's a few Poles actually, along with Linda Klimovicova, which is not that's the first slam that she's going to play under the Polish flag. Now, does any of them qualify? I mean, difficult to say, I guess. Kava probably doesn't, I think, based on her draw. Falinska, like, she has to like her chances to get to the third round, but then Boko in that section, that's tough. And Klimovicova, I've barely watched her, so I don't know. Playing another Czech Linda, but only one Czech Linda is playing for Poland right now. Poland clearly stronger than Czechia in terms of the tennis.
Beautiful. All right, Damien. I mean, any last thoughts on the women's draw?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few more like names that I see who can go ballistic in the draw.
Dalma Golfi.
Is she also in the qualifying?
Yeah, 2 seed.
Oh shoot! Can you show me Dalma Golfi? I mean, yeah, that's another
on the
one.
Top producer on the top.
I was just thinking about mostly Andreescu, Boko, but Dalma Golfi, that's insane. I mean, she's on a beautiful streak. She was a monster recently, and out of all the like Hungarian, players who showed up at the same time, like Bondar, Udvardi, Golfi, I think she was always kind of like the one who looked like she might have the most. Sasnovic round number 3 as well. I saw there. Oh, Dalma Golfi is here. Anna Bogdan in the opening round. I mean, both of these players should not be in slam qualifying draws. seems like after after one of them wins in the opening round, they have a decent chance. But then also Shuai Zhang, she's capable of losing 24 matches in a row, but she's also capable of great stuff on the tennis court. So yeah, it's not gonna be easy actually. Galfi Bogdan opening round, that's insane as well.
Right.
I'm kind of worried for Dalma. I was thinking she's probably in the main draw, to be honest. I didn't realize she was playing in the qualies. And I think just a section lower down there was Sasnovic as well, who I think is always like, perennially underrated basically. And some of that, of course, she brought to herself by not winning many matches last year. But anytime I see her in these sort of, like Grand Slam qualifying draws or WTA Tour qualifying draws, I can't help but just, pay more attention, let's say.
Our producer dropped a funny comment that we will have to finish on. So just want to thank everyone for tuning in. Damien, thank you so much for sharing your insight. I know everyone appreciates it. So thank you for that. And don't go too far because WTA Weekly will be following this show. So thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Damien. Until next time, and looking forward to this week.
Thank you. See you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.